hobby friends, and welcome to another episode of Hobby Networking Group Tutorials. My name is David Baez, and I'm here again with Mark Fahrenbacher of the Vintage Sports Cards Group. Thanks, Mark, for joining us. How are you, buddy?
Thank you so much, David. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great, thanks. And in today's episode, what we're going to be talking about is detecting fakes. Now, this is a long and winded topic. Trust me, we could talk about this for hours, but Mark's kind enough to have a few examples to share with us today on some specific cards. And Mark, take it away. Tell us a little bit about what you have.
Yeah, so I break collections a lot, and every now and then I'll see a card that I'm like, okay, something's weird about this card, right? So fake cards are unfortunately something that I believe are circulating generally for your star cards, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, any of your big rookie cards for big major stars. There's the possibility that there could be a fake out there. And I find most of it's pre-70, where you really start to get more and more of the fake cards. And I do believe a lot of these were produced in the 90s and years ago, right? Mm-hmm. But, you know, by today's standards, the technology probably has gotten better and better to fake them. So, you know, I have an example of one that I think was made today, you know, within today's standards, whereas I have one that I think was made probably in the 90s, and the fakes are getting better. But usually you can tell off of photos, in my opinion, on 9 out of 10 of them, if you have the right photos. You know, a couple of things to ask for is to always get a naked card, no sleeve, no loader, because that's the number one thing I find a lot of the scammers that are attempting to sell on eBay. It seems like they always disguise it through a screw down, you know, a scratched up screw down. You ever see that, David?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Like, huh. And then the story comes, what? Hey, man, I don't know where I got this card. It just kind of was inherited to me from a great uncle, from his brother, and so on. You know, it's like a long-winded story how they got it. I don't know if it's real, but it came in a whole bunch of cards, right?
Yeah.
I believe that most of them know it's not a real card. That's really what I believe. And it's a shame, because I think that that's the thing that eBay probably has as a danger that Facebook, hey, look, you can reach out to someone, have a conversation very easily on Facebook. Give me your cell phone. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that I think you have to just be a buyer beware in the vintage hobby. So a couple of the things that I've noticed is you can usually tell fakes from a photo if you can see that up close. So there's certain patterns that you're going to want to see on a card related to the Rosetta pattern. And if you have a real card in front of you, take a close-up picture of it, zoom in on it, and look what that pattern is. Same year, if you have it, of the card in question, and say, you know what? This is why this one is a fake and this one isn't. And what you'll find is sometimes the solid lines are missing. You should see solid lines on a lot of the older cards. You shouldn't see circles on those, right? And sometimes they can fake these Rosetta patterns pretty well now, but for whatever reason, they can't duplicate these lines on the borders of the cards. For whatever reason, that's something that I hone in on right away when I'm looking at a close inspection. The back of the card, though, let me tell you, the back of these cards, you can definitely tell when they've artificially aged these cards. There's a lot of signs of it. And the first thing I would suggest is if you see any kind of white borders on the back of a card, it means that that was artificially worn, and they tried to dye it, you know, with the tea bag, I believe, is the number one thing they do. But I don't care what you dye it with. They're trying to stain a card to make it appear artificially aged. If you look at the front of these cards, there's also some signs that you really have to be aware of looking at the front. And the front will have signs of the surface. So I have an example of a counterfeit Bowman 1955 Mantle, right?
Yeah.
And the color was already off, right? But this was sent to me from a member who said, hey, I don't know if this is a real card. Well, this guy actually buys a lot of cards. So he told me, here's someone that buys a lot of vintage cards and cannot tell. I've had dealers asking me, hey, is this a real card? They sell a lot of slab cards. They don't ever have raw cards, David. So they didn't even know. So here is a surface that I find is smooth. It doesn't have the normal texture. And I feel like this is one of the best tests that I now ask people to show me. It's like, show me the surface. Because the surface test It should never be smooth. It shouldn't. It should have a gloss that's natural to the card, unless I guess it's been rubbed off because someone wore it over years of playing with the card. But
Hmm.
when they look like this, that's a clear fake card, okay? And
Yeah.
the color's way off on this card. The back of this one, it's even worse. It's almost got a waxy film to it, okay? So,
Wow.
um,
Originally I thought you had that in some sort of a plastic holder, just looking at it from my side of things. And
isn't
the
that
viewers
crazy?
will
It
get
does
it.
look like it's in a sleeve of some type, huh?
Yeah, yeah. That 55 Bowman Mantle is obviously quite a popular card, but just looking at it from the screen when you showed it, there are some glaring differences from the ones I've seen in the past.
Yeah, obviously, if you've had 55 Bowmans, you're going to spot this very quickly. But to an amateur who says, "Hey, I want to get a good deal on a Mickey Mantle," this could
Right.
pretty quickly. And that's the whole thing. Is I think most of the collectors are tuned in maybe to think, "Okay, let me buyer beware on the Mickey Mantle." Well, I'll give you one that came in the other day that I was like, "Wow, they're even faking lesser stars." This is a Bob Uecker rookie card, high number, hard to
That's
get, right?
unbelievable.
But again, this is a Today fake. This is made by Today technology. Okay.
Now, can you explain a little bit about what you mean there, and if you can point out those differences.
All right. So here's one that I believe was made in the 90s. Here's one that I believe was made in recent years. Okay. Now,
Okay.
just to kind of go over this card, I'm going to tell you what I noticed right away. I noticed that it had a cracking to it.
A cracking to it. Okay.
Okay.
So in the ink, you mean?
Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if
I
you
see
can
it.
kind of see it, but
Yes.
whenever you see cracking, that means that it was artificially aged and dried. And after it dries, it leaves this weird little cracking. So that's probably the #1 way to spot fakes on an eBay purchase. I've
Hmm.
been seeing this over and over where you'll see these little minute cracks. It's like, stay away from that card. It's definitely a fake.
Yeah.
Um, no real card made by Topps, Bowman, or any of these companies should have cracks whatsoever on the front of that card. Okay. And, the back, I mean, there's usually very good signs. The back on this one really looked good to me, David. You don't see those white borders here where you
Yeah.
can see this paper under here. Because from what
Right.
I understand, they can't really produce that cardboard. They can
Hmm.
produce thick paper and they can photograph over that paper. And that's really all they're doing. It's just a photograph of the real card. Someone who made this had the real card in front of them, figured out how to make a very impressive fake card there, by the way. And
Yeah.
who knows, maybe this was marketed, hey, it is a fake card, buy it because you may want to just get it for your set bill. But I do believe people abuse that. And I've heard more and more people turning to, hey, I can't get this high number 1962 card. It's like unreachable for me. So
Yeah.
when you have that, let's say a Seaver rookie, a 1960 Seaver rookie is not cheap these days.
Hmm.
The worst copy one. Well, you know what? Maybe you could fill it in with a fake card, but don't ever resell it. Reprints only work for that, in my opinion. I don't see any other reason why you would own a reprint or a
Yeah.
fake card. And there's, to me, a difference between a reprint and a fake card. Fake cards are trying to fool you. Reprints are usually obviously marked, hey, this is a reproduced card.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to your point, I mean, great example. Just throwing one out there because it's like a real life one. Let's say in my office, I just have my favorite players. I may not want to put my $1,000 Seaver card, in my bookshelf when a bunch of people walk in and out of my office, right?
Right.
But I would put a nice reprint of it, in my shelf.
That makes sense.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, something. So that's an example to your point of being okay with the reprint versus that, but there should be an identifier on it one way or another, because if not, then it can be easily perceived, and I perceive it just the way you do, as the intent to kind of get someone to think it's real, right?
That's right, to fool people, and
To fool people, yeah.
that's a scam. And I do believe that there is, a few people that probably live to scam people with fake cards. That's all they do. There was one in North Carolina that I kept on seeing the fake cards coming up for Mickey Mantle, and this person would just create a new profile. Again, North Carolina, create a new profile. Again, North Carolina. I'm like, this is the same guy
Yeah.
doing it over and over and over. So he's a detriment to the hobby, whoever that person is, right? So we have to really call people out like that in the hobby and get them out. One of the things I'm going to send you, David, is pictures of what it's like to use a blacklight kit. Everybody should have a blacklight flashlight that can show you the differences between cardboard and paper that's got a photograph over it, because that's all this is. This is paper that's got a photograph over it.
That's fantastic.
And you can see that it's paper. Once you put that black light, you get in a dark room, you go to the back of that card, it will shine up bright. You won't even believe what this one looks like under a black light, David. It's crazy. It's like completely Christmas tree, go to a rave. It's like bright. And whenever they shine, like you're at the club and it's like black lighting all over, you got the white. If it's shining like that, it's a fake card. And that's the problem with it, is no one's teaching people that you just get a black light. It's like a $10 flashlight you could order online right now. And you can get a loupe if you really want to start inspecting that solid black line we talked about. That if you don't see that solid black line and it looks like, you know, circular around it and on it, that's a problem. That tells you you probably got a fake card in front of you. Those pictures I'll send to you so you could probably put these into this and show people what this should look like and what it shouldn't look like. And it's definitely eye-opening once you do those comparisons and you see, oh, yeah, no wonder. And once your eye's starting to look for it, you won't be fooled again. I'm telling you, it's like I changed after I've got a Mickey Mantle. My first fake Mickey Mantle I bought off of eBay probably 3 years ago range. I was like, I'm never going to get fooled again. I got to go study these cards and learn why they're fake from real. And the best thing to really do, David, to me, is if you got, let's say, a real card in front of you for that year, a common, go look at those patterns. Go look at why it's a real card. Then compare it to the photos that you're looking at online to buy. And you will probably say, you know what? I think that this is a fake. And you're going to beware of buying that card. And it's okay to check with a buddy, too. We see it all the time. People keep posting on the page over and over and over. Show me, tell me what I need to look for to see a fake card. Well, hopefully we can start to educate people and they don't have to learn like I did buying a fake card 3 years ago. I said, you know what? It's never going to happen to me again. I will learn how to tell a real card from a fake card. And if you're not learning that, you're not serious about the hobby. You don't need the slab company to tell you. You don't need to pay them $100 to certify a very nice Mickey Mantle. Sometimes you can tell right away. Now, if you want to protect it, great. Go get a slab. But you don't necessarily have to have a grading company tell you a legitimate card from a fake card. You really don't. And that's the biggest issue, I think, right now in the hobby is people think they have to send in and spend the money to find out they got fake cards.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You bring up a great point. I think, you know, one of the major, let's call it advantages, right? For let's say especially a rookie, you know, collector is that peace of mind of getting, you know, the authenticated card to ensure that their card is real. But with, you know, a show like this or episodes, because there's no way this can be touched on one, right? And episodes like this that talk about the different ways of detecting the fakes, those that love the, let's call it the to collect raw, they can go into it, especially if you're new, they can go into it with that peace of mind of knowing there's very good ways of detecting these fakes by virtue of information like this. So Mark, I mean, I can't, you know, to me, I think what you're doing is a tremendous asset, you know, for all for all collectors, forget new collectors. I think what you're doing is wonderful, and it's going to really help those that want to collect raw, you know, continue to collect raw and feel comfortable doing it. So, you know, I can't wait to dive into this more with you down the road and do these other episodes with the blacklight test and other things like that. So thank you for sharing those two examples, and thanks for your time today and this episode.
I appreciate it, David. Thank you, buddy.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. Please click on the like and subscribe button. Just a couple quick updates. We are officially live on iTunes, Google, as well as Spotify for our podcast. Go to hobbynetworkgroup.com for more details and links. Thanks for watching today's video and have a great day. Bye.